What's going on, my ASVAB party people? Anderson here, your ASVAB coach, and we're going to go ahead and go over a problem with absolute value for the ASVAB. Let's go. So before we begin, remember that I host a free class every Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, so you can go ahead and use that link right there, the link up here, or the link in the description to go ahead and register for that class. You get a free bonus practice test as well, so you might as well get it. But with that said, let's go ahead and crush this. That way we can feel a little better about absolute value. So the problem reads, the absolute value of x minus 5 is equal to 8. Okay, so how do we tackle this? Well, first, we need to really understand what absolute value actually is. So here, think about it like this. A lot of us may understand absolute value as, oh, it's always positive. Whatever you put in, make it positive. But we gotta know why. Knowing why is the ultimate key to building that confidence. So basically, here's what absolute value does. What absolute value does is it says, hey, look, whatever number is in here, we're only going to count how far away that number is from 0. So for example, if I had the absolute value of 2, we would just say, hey, what's the distance of 2 to 0? How far is it from 0? And I think we can all say that's just two numbers. But on the flip side, if we were to say, hey, what's the absolute value of negative 2? What we're saying there is, hey, how far is negative 2 from 0? Which is still 2 spaces. It's still 2. So what absolute value does, and write this down, pause the video if you need to. What absolute value does is it tells you the distance that number is from 0. That's why no matter what number you get, you will make it positive. That's why. And so let's go ahead and transition over here into solving equations. Because again, absolute value, all it is it's telling you the distance to 0, and that's always positive. So if we're taking a look over here, the absolute value of x minus 5 equals 8, here's what you're going to do. What you're going to do is you're going to say, hey, look, well, if this happened to be a positive 8, the absolute value of positive 8 equals 8. So that would work, and so I can go ahead and just write this out like this. X minus 5 equals 8 without the absolute value. But before we continue, this is really important. You have to make sure you use the negative as well. Why? Because if this was negative 8, so the absolute value of negative 8 on this side right here. So I can actually go ahead, erase this, move this over here. So if this happened to be, if whatever was in here, whatever's in there, again, just don't worry about that. If whatever was in there happened to be negative 8, well, the absolute value of negative 8 is still going to be 8. It's still going to equal 8 on the right side. So what you have to consider here is the positive version of the absolute value and the negative version. Because considering both, they will both get you to that positive 8 or the number that you see on the other side. And so with that said, what we're going to have to do as well is do this. I'm going to go ahead and just copy this, put it over here. But again, we got to consider the negative. And the way that you consider the negative is by basically making the entire side that had the absolute value, make it negative. That's how you'll get it done. And so basically, if you're looking at this and you're saying, wait, hold up, coach, we have 2 equations to solve? Yep, we do. We absolutely do. And so we're going to solve them one at a time here. So this one on the left, x minus 5 equals 8. To solve an equation, perform the opposite operation. The opposite of subtracting 5 is adding 5 to both sides. So by doing that, cancels on the left, and we get x equals 13. So that's one of the answers. Now the other answer, how we're going to get that, again, we're going to solve this one now and see what we got. So over here, what we have, and let me use a different color just to kind of separate it. What we're going to have is we're first going to need to distribute that negative. You can distribute the negative like that, or you can go ahead and literally just do this. If you wanted to, you could just say, hey, x minus 5 equals negative 8. What does x have to be to make it negative 8? Because again, if the inside was negative 8, then you still get a positive 8 at the end. So there's 2 ways to think about it. You can make that entire side negative to take away the absolute value, or you can turn the result, that right there, you can turn that negative. Either way works. And I think turning the right side negative is a little easier for other people to realize, and me too as well. I think it's a little more a preference thing. So with that said, to solve, all we're going to have to do here is add 5 to both sides. Because once we add that 5 to both sides, booyah cancels out on the left side, and we receive x equals -8 plus 5, and that's -3. And so our answers are 13 and -3, which means C is the answer. And so there it is. There it is, my party people. Look, at the end of the day, a lot of these topics, when it comes to math knowledge, they're very, very doable. It's just a matter of learning those fundamentals. And so if you want to learn these fundamentals, if you want to build your confidence, you want to raise your score for free, come on over. Join tonight's class. It's at 6 p.m. Eastern time. So if you're viewing this video the day that I dropped it, go ahead and click the link in the description to sign up for that free class, and you get that bonus practice test as well. But either way, regardless, my party people, we're here to ace the ASVAB. And so if you have any questions, I am your Coach Anderson. Feel free to reach out to me with my contact info in the description of the video. At the end of the day, let's ace the ASVAB. I'll see you guys soon. Hey, thanks for watching. Go ahead and smash that subscribe button up here. That way you can get more great content from us. Or text ASVAB to that number. That way you can join us for a free class and get a free mini course at the same time. And then look forward to the next video. That way you can continue crushing it and raising your score. Anderson, your ASVAB coach here. See you next time.